Can you believe that you're like, okay, so let's just start from the top. I have so much to talk about with you.
Really?
Yeah. Do you want to scoot over?
Yep.
Get yourself set up. Do your thing. You see yourself in your. That's what you'll look like.
Woo.
So much to talk about. So we've got Amy Goldberg with Seamless
Contracts.
Seamless. It's always seamless. I know that.
Yeah.
Has the award for the number 2 most viewed podcast.
Who beat me?
Travis Brown beat you with God, I don't even. I'm terrible today. Travis Brown is a real estate agent. He's like my brother. I love him to death. And I forget Agency Texas, I believe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Familiar.
So he's a real estate agent. And what's interesting is, honestly, I think I know why he's number 1, but I haven't identified why you're number 2. Don't take that the wrong way. I mean, I could think of a million reasons, but like I've gone down these rabbit holes with algorithms and stuff like that. So here's
It's
my
my people supporting me.
well, that's what. So I think that's part of it, but I also think that you hold a position that is very interesting and engaging to real estate agents. It's not
100%.
like it's not like the quintessential. Let me tell you about how it is to buy a home, and that's not to
Yeah.
take anything away from real estate agents, but there's a lot of information on there. And, transaction coordinators are like delegated transaction coordinators that are running a business. There aren't a lot of those.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. There's lesser of us than there are agents.
Yeah. So I think it's interesting to a lot of people. And therefore, I think that's why the clips and the podcast are getting a lot of traction. But Travis's video, and this is something I've identified across the board. I think the reason that his video is getting number 1 is because the topic that we talked about in his like short or his reel was about that one client. No matter how good you are at your job, there's always that one client that's going to write a bad review that you just
Love it.
can't please everybody. And he told a little story about like a male Karen. Is there a name for a male Karen?
Ooh.
Is it like I've heard Kyle? And I've
never heard.
I've heard
Kyle.
Chad. Is it Chad?
I've never, and if I have, it's been a long time since
Right.
someone has referred to a male Karen.
These are the times that I wish I
funny.
had somebody in the actual like booth. There's a little booth with the editing, and we could be like, go ahead
Yes.
and Google what is a male Karen.
Yes, one of my good friends who is a famous actress, but she has like a whole staff, and so they tune in, and they're hilarious.
Right.
Love it. Yeah.
Well, that's got to be it then. I mean, that's part of it. So that's awesome. I
Yep.
mean, but yeah, Travis's does real well, or I think did real well, just because I think that every business owner has had an experience with that one client that you just cannot please.
Oh yeah.
And I think that, it's
And it's not just buyers and sellers. It's like any business type. You
Right.
have to remember that you cannot please everyone.
exactly.
And that's a hard thing to like truly carry with you every day. But there have been not many, but there have been times where I've been in that shoe as well, and it's not fun.
Yeah.
It's not
Well, and I
fun.
think that's why it kind of resonated with a lot of people, and therefore is the number 1 video right now with something like it's something wild. Like I think it's like 40,000 views or something crazy.
Whoa.
No, it's up there. Your videos.
What am I into?
Your video's up there. It's I know you have over 10,000.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, we're getting them out there.
And that could be like my friend looking or someone, it could be anyone.
Well, yeah, and it's like this stuff's going out to, people that we don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? So as people are like doom scrolling.
Which is the goal.
Right, exactly. Exactly. We're gonna get in your
We're gonna
doom
get
scroll.
you.
So, as people are doom scrolling, like we're making it into your algorithms and all of
Yeah.
that, trying to slide into your DMs. So
Love it.
so much I want to talk about though, because again, you've been a big plus for me as far as views and everything like that for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
And I just did a podcast right before this one, and one of the things that we were talking about is like ways to collaborate and go after new business and everything along those
Yeah.
lines. And I feel like we really need to do something that can help us kind of go after agents and whatnot, because I feel like right now you and I are in the same boat in regards to like what we're doing in terms of new business. Correct me if I'm wrong, but for me personally, spending way more time having like great connections, good conversations, talking about collaborations, just really good stuff with real estate agents who are, that group is my number one referral partner, which is
Right.
the same for you.
Same.
But business in general has been down because it's kind of down across the board.
Yeah.
And so a lot of this has been like laying the groundwork,
Yep.
right? And it's always nice when you end the day and you're like, oh my gosh, I just made so many new connections
Mm-hmm.
and I really feel like this is going to turn into something business wise. And then you're like, okay, that's great as far as, laying the groundwork. But how many transactions did we do this week? And you're like,
Right.
oh shit. Like,
Holy cow. Yes. Just
right.
that back and forth of like, I am on the front end of the business, meaning I'm connecting,
Mm-hmm.
but then I also have the reality of looking at numbers.
Right.
And, I've got 14 people, that are doing
Mouths
this
to
work.
feed.
Yeah. And they need money. And so and I know everyone is kind of going through the same thing. And I think that that's what allows us to relating to other people. I think that really helps us. But I mean, you're right. Just the reality of
Mm-hmm.
looking at numbers, but then connecting. But the reality is the people you're connecting with are not doing the business
Yeah.
that they may have done in the last few years.
Right.
100%.
Right. How are you combating that?
Woo. And I'm coming off a crazy week. So I think it's the perfect time to ask me these questions. But I think the way that I'm combating this is first reminding myself of what I can offer to this industry
Yeah.
and being super confident in your worth and what you can do for the industry because they need you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just reminding yourself of that. But, events, coffee dates, lunch dates. I mean, really, it's just about getting back. And we had talked about this on the last podcast, but really getting back to the basics of connecting in relationships.
Yeah.
Because it is about who you know. Every conversation can be that. I call it seed planting, but
Mhm.
like that's really I feel like the phase that we're all in right now
Yeah.
is planting the seeds so that when it does shift and in education too, I think what a lot of people rely on in an industry or in a market like we're in now is education.
Yeah.
Because things have changed. It's been a little more difficult to get a deal done. We talk about the deals being low, but man, the deals we have are so
Ugly.
I think ugly. Thank you.
Yeah, they're ugly.
Yeah. And so taking care of the business that you have, but just reminding yourself, I think for me, I have to come back to my core of like why I'm in this industry,
Mhm.
why I do what I do, and I'm dang good at it. So I just have to keep reminding and sharing that with others that like, our industry has changed, and not changed, but I call it a shift because it's a lot like what it was when I first came in.
Yeah.
Meaning that yes, the average day on market was 60 days when I came in.
Yeah.
It was not a fast moving industry. It just the business didn't come as easy.
Yeah.
So it's about just continuously thinking about how you can get in front of people.
Right. Well, and wouldn't you agree? And again, I think it might be different for everybody, but wouldn't you agree that you're finding agents are finally like, I don't know, they're more interested in hearing what you have to say because they're
Sure.
like looking for ideas, they're looking for advice, they're looking
They're
for
just
angles.
now saying, I got to make a change.
Right.
It's taken people some time to truly realize. And I'll be honest, even in my personal business, I am just now feeling effects of what has been happening for the last year.
Oh, it's been over a year. I mean, this is something that
So-
I've been talking about on the podcast a lot, and I felt like Chicken Little. I did. The
Yeah.
sky is falling type of thing where, and I wasn't doing it like that in a negative way. It was more like a buckle in.
Yep.
I've been doing this for quite some time, and we saw, even before interest rates rose, I remember going to real estate agents and even people on my team on the lending side in 2021
Mm-hmm.
and saying, and doing it at about this time this year, where here we are mid-October, and I was saying, I want you to look at how much money you've made this year. And we have 10 months into the year. I want you to cut it in half.
Yeah.
If this time this year, you are making 50% of what you're making right now, how does that affect you? Is it just you making less money? Is it you not being able to pay your bills? Is it you thinking this isn't even worth the stress?
Yeah.
Because if the answer to any of that is yes, you are fucking up,
Yeah.
right? Because what I ran into a lot of, and I feel like we run into this a lot in every business, where I think work-life balance is important.
Sure.
I think it's very important. But I think if you're in a sales business, specifically real estate, the work-life balance is in chunks. It's not in days.
It's looked at differently.
Right.
Yes.
Where, I think that because I had reps, and including myself, where, we were joking before we got on the podcast, 2020 and 2021 were some good years.
Yeah.
And I was looking at what I was making in great
years.
years. Yeah, correct. And I was looking at what I was making and doing that to myself. Like, if I made 50% of what I made in 2020 and 2021, what would that look like? And of course, I like money, so more is better. But I was like, this is 50% of what I was making was well within reason of, what I would need to
still
live.
pay a bill.
Right. I
Yeah.
can still pay bills. I could still buy groceries. I can afford my car payment, all that kind of
Right.
stuff. And I think what a lot of people were making excuses about, and I sadly have to say this to real estate agents specifically, was they're like, yeah, I'm happy with what I'm making, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, if that 50% number isn't going to work for you, like, you're screwing up, because
Yeah.
it's going to go away. And when it does, you're going to find yourself kind of saying what you just said, where they're just now going, I need to make a change.
Yeah.
And my argument was, no, I told you needed to make a change 2 years ago.
Right.
And
Yeah,
when
those
I said
warning
that,
signs of
I was
like,
right.
And
I was Chicken Little. And I remember when it hit. I mean, it was like right after St. Patrick's Day, March of 2022. And we started to see interest rates climb. And they basically haven't stopped since.
Yep.
And that puts us at almost 20 months that we have been in the business that we're in right now.
20 months.
It's a long
I think
time.
a lot of people need to really realize just the time that's gone by, and like, yeah. So I definitely agree with you that, in my type of business is obviously not real estate agents, but it's still somewhat similar in the sense
Mhm.
that everyone's commission based.
Yeah.
So if we're not getting deals, then the transaction coordinators aren't making an income.
Right.
And so it still goes back to, but the hard thing about a transaction coordinator is that they aren't salespeople typically.
Right. Well,
So,
if they were, they'd be real estate agents.
Sure. Yeah. So it's been challenging 100%. And I think anyone who says it hasn't been is lying.
No, totally.
Lying.
Well, and it's funny. So to that point, when I first started mentioning about things increasing in March, April, May, and I'm telling real estate agents, guys, buckle in. They're literally looking at me, and they weren't saying this, but I could feel it, with a sentiment of like, oh, I can't handle this negativity.
Yeah.
I'm good to go. I don't know what you're talking about. I still have deals working, my market, this, that, and the other. And then you watch things slow down, and I watched agents kind of go, well, this is happening because now it's the end of the year. The business traditionally slows
Yep.
down, and I'll pick back up in January. And I hate to say this, but I'm a little bit of a sadist when it comes to this. I loved the beginning of 2023, watching agents come out of the gate. They're fucking jacked up. They're ready
Yep.
to sell. And it was almost like watching somebody just get hit by a wave, where
Mhm.
after like 2-3 months of straight grinding,
Yep.
and they're like, oh my God, why don't I have anything to show for this? And the answer is because in 2020 and 2021, you were at 50%,
Yeah.
making 100%, giving all the credit to you and your amazing sales capabilities, and you're
Yes.
working on
Yeah.
your sphere. Like, I'm here to tell you that was the market,
Yeah.
and you fucked up by not going 100%.
Yeah.
And now you went 100% in a harder market, and all the fruits of your non-existent labor
Yep.
are now rearing their ugly head,
Yeah.
right?
It is so true. And I think in 20 and 21, I know my team collectively, all of us went really hard. It was tough. And we did it. We showed up. We worked our butts off to get these deals closed. I mean, we had more business than we knew what to do with, and that's a great thing.
And did you turn anything down?
No, 21 for sure. No.
Right.
20, I remember, yes, being on a wait list.
Okay.
Every year of my business since 17, from 17 to 20, I was on a wait list every year. And it's a lot of it is scalability of a transaction management company
Okay.
can be challenging.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, but
But
it
you
is.
weren't turning it down because you were like,
Oh, heck no.
I need more free time.
If you saw pictures of me in 27, I was actually just talking to my sister about this morning. She posted this thing on Instagram where it was like, what did you look like in 2017? So I was like, oh, I want to play along. And I go in my phone and look at like my pictures from 2017. I was like, I was really tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can tell from my photos that like, man, I was hustling, you know? So you had talked about, prepping when you're making 100% and for the rainy days. My mom has always taught me save for a rainy day. So I'm really good at that anyway, but because it was like instilled in my head, but a mindset like yours, which is very similar to mine, is that no matter where we are, we always feel like we need to be further ahead than we are. We are constantly evolving. Like there was some kind of reel or podcast that was on Instagram. It was just a reel, but the guy was like, successful mindsets are always going to feel like they're behind.
Right.
Doesn't matter where you are, you're always going to feel that way. And so I try to remind myself of that too, that I'm always like, what's next? I'm not going quick enough. Who am I not making happy? Who is happy? Those are all things that I'm very in tune with. That could be a good or a bad thing, but that has, I think that's something that I continue to remind myself in the market we're in, but also like not stopping.
Well, I know for me, like the reason why I handled this kind of uptick so well was because, I have definitely made the mistake. I was the guy who was like, no, this is cool. I'm making good money. And like, didn't give credit to the market, convinced myself that I was just a rock star. So like I knew that, like this is going to turn. And when it does, like, am I going to be happy making half the money? And I really just hope is almost like a public service announcement to anybody in real estate that if you right now are struggling, I really hope that you look inward and are honest with yourself and ask yourself, like, were you really doing the things that you should have been doing in 2020 and 2021 outside of just like, oh, I'm just closing deals? Because one of the things I always talk about is how important it is to constantly be trying to generate new business.
Sure.
And the new business part is like what everybody hates the most.
Right.
Right?
Sure, yeah.
Like you're a transaction coordinator, your team, they're all transaction coordinators.
It's
you guys
the most effort.
Right, but like what do you really want to do? You want to get clients, you want to close deals.
Yep.
Right? That's the fun part. What do real estate agents want to do? They want to get clients, they want to close deals. Lenders, we want to find, buyers, we want to pre-approve, and we want to close deals. But the part of our job that we forget is like sometimes we have to go out and actually get those deals.
Yeah.
We have to do that work that isn't like instant gratification.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Kind of like what we started the podcast talking about, where we're going out, we're having conversations, we're doing all the things. It's a real feel good at the end of the week. But then when we look at how many deals did I actually close, it is way less than what we were doing a year or two ago.
Right.
And I talked about how, this downturn or this rise in interest rates has been going on for almost 20 months. The irony of that is, and I think you'll feel the same way, you kind of brought it up with the 2017 photo, is when it was happening in 2020 and 2021 and we were crushing it, there was a part of me that was shocked at how long that lasted.
Yes.
Because when I started, I was like, all right, this is going to turn. So I tell my team, for example, guys, this is going to turn. You got to make all your money now. You're going to make like 50% of what you're making right now. Please, please just call your friends, call your family, tell them that you don't have time for them. This business will give you time eventually.
Right.
And so 2020 was such a good year that when I was saying it in 2021, it was almost like people were like, dude, like it's been a year and we ain't seeing anything change.
Yep.
And I think you had people that thought I was just full of shit. And then there was people, and I was almost one of them, where there was a part of me toward the end of 2021 where I was like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, I'd look at my bank account and be like, it's worth it. But at the same time, it's like I have been busting my ass for like
Yes.
2 straight years. I'm talking like 70, 80-hour work weeks. Like,
Look at your pictures during that time, because it was a really good reminder for me. And I'm the mom of 2 kids, like
well,
small
yeah, that'll wear you
kids.
out.
And so I'm just like this week, I'm like, can you see the red in my eyes? Because I'm just so tired. And I
Right.
think it's just because I'm back in that, like, the grind, you
Mhm.
know, of just, the shift and the adjustments and like making sure everyone's happy, and like the deals that are being done right now are dirtier,
Yeah.
So we're a little bit more drama.
What's your thought on that? Why do you think that is?
Oh, I think it's a mixture of a lot of things.
For sure.
I really do. And I don't mean anything like negative toward certain people in the industry, or it's not really that necessarily, as it is that I think we're back in a phase of, like I've said several times, is education. Like, people just, they either came into the industry when it was better than we knew what to do with, meaning like no one was really negotiating. It was just like there were offers, $50,000 to $100,000 more than
Right. Do
asking
you like it? Do you
price.
want it? Buy it? Yes or no? If
Yes.
not, who else?
And everything was in benefit of the seller,
Right.
right? And so now it's a mixture, and I think really what it is that people just haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
And luckily, with my knowledge of the contract process, I've seen pretty much everything.
Mhm.
And I've been in the industry 9 years today.
Oh, well,
is
congratulations.
my 9th year in real estate. And so I've closed thousands of transactions.
Sure.
So for me, it's not, but it's really just mentoring my team and the title companies. And we're in the middle of all of those people.
Mhm.
And our job is to make sure that things get done. I mean, really,
Yeah.
that's what we are. And so for us, I say it's dirty because there's a lot of education going on. A lot of, agents are very anxious to get the deal executed.
Yeah, that was going to be my question. Do you think that there's more deals now that are kind of almost being like forced?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Right. I mean, not to just for the, not illegally or anything like that, but
Right.
just like how do, my favorite is like, how do we get creative?
Just, what is the quickest way for
Yeah.
me to make money?
Mhm.
And I get that. I understand that. And I am definitely sympathize with that. And so I'm trying to be that middle person of coaching my team,
Yeah.
of like, you have to understand like what agents are going through, what we're going through, what buyers are going through, and what sellers are going through, because they're all different struggles.
Right.
And I wouldn't call it anyone's a winner in this market.
Well, I would say the only only winners are the ones that I described from the beginning, which are because to go back to the agents, and I won't call any individual
The
out, but I
people
will
that can
call.
afford to be in the market.
Right.
They're
I mean,
winning.
that's just it. I
Yes.
mean, in my point to the real estate and the forced deals and all of that, I think that this is happening because you have a lot of broke agents. And these agents are
Yeah.
broke because they didn't do the work that they should have done while they were making money in 2020 and 2021.
Yes.
Because they went up to the food counter, got what they needed to eat, and they were like, okay, I'm good. But they didn't store anything away for
Yeah.
winter because they thought it was always going to be there.
Yep.
And here we are now in 2023, and I guarantee every one of those agents that's doing like a forcing a deal or freaking out, if I look at their previous 2 years production, I guarantee that they were making under $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
And so going back to my analogy, you chop that in half, and now they're making under $100,000 a year. And let's face it, for a household income, if you're making under $100,000 a year, it's doable, but it's difficult,
Yeah.
especially if you have kids.
It's
And a lot of
it's an
real estate agents do.
adjustment.
And I'm not, and just because I know this podcast goes out nationwide, just as a caveat, like this is Austin,
Right.
right? Like, I know $100,000 a year, kind of where I come from, or if you're living in, rural America,
Yeah.
that's doable. Austin's very expensive.
Yep.
So,
And it continues to get more
right.
expensive. And so I think with inflation of like everything in the world today, it's just been a moment of figuring it out. And I think I've said this so much over the last week is that for some it will work and for others it just will not.
Yeah.
And that's a sad reality because I love this industry.
Mhm.
Like I'm very passionate about real estate, like the connections and just the ability to serve people is my dream. And so for me, I'm very passionate about it and I know I will survive it. I'm very confident in that because nobody can outwork me.
Right. Well, and
You
you
know?
did, but let's face it, like, let's keep it real. You did the work up front and you,
Yes,
as you
I've done
put
the
it,
work from the
right.
moment I got into this
You weren't like,
industry.
I'm good, I don't need it. Like, you
No.
got it. And so,
I'm
yeah.
willing to put myself even last to make sure that, I get through something. And so, like you were saying, kind of back to like things being dirtier, it's just been a lot in
Yeah.
terms of just the educational piece, I think, is really what it is because you truly have to educate sellers and you truly have to educate buyers in this market.
Is that the sentiment that you've been getting from, we talked about the fact that you're seeing more people now than ever because they have the time and they're looking for anyone to, be that beacon of light.
Right.
Is there anything in particular over the last maybe 60 to 90 days that you're hearing from the conversations that you're having that you weren't hearing maybe 3 to 5 months ago?
My conversation with an agent.
Yeah, like, you're talking about education, for example, to have those conversations with sellers and whatnot. You've mentioned that the deals are a little bit more difficult than they have
Yeah.
been, but like when you sit down with agents, is there, kind of like a common theme that has been coming up more so lately than in the past, other than it's slow?
Right. Gosh, that's all. Hey, what are you seeing, Amy? Like
Right.
I get that almost in all of my conversations, which is fine. I think how to like navigate maybe a change in the contract that they're making.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're seeing a lot more escrow holdbacks right now, which has to be approved by lender. It has
Yep.
to be approved by title company.
Yeah, we're doing 15 months right now.
Of escrow holdback.
Yeah.
That you will now. Okay, so what was that 2 years ago? Would you even allow it?
Wait, are you talking about maybe I misunderstood. So I'm talking about escrow holdback in terms of taxes because the 2024.
No, this is more like if a seller needs to make a repair prior to closing
Yeah.
and they're not going to make it, so they're wanting to hold an amount in escrow for however many days they're trying to do it.
Yeah.
That's been I think I've heard that more than I have in a really long time.
I am so glad you brought this up because this is a topic that we haven't talked about, and I don't want to like derail what we were talking
That's
about before,
okay.
but this is good. The whole escrow holdback situation is always very, very interesting to me because to your point with education,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it is something that people don't understand. And at the end of the day, there is a problem and nobody wants to fix it. They
Yeah.
just want it to go away. So for those of you that don't know what an escrow holdback is, like Amy was just saying, it's when a house goes under contract and there is something on that particular property that needs to be fixed or is requesting to be fixed
Mhm.
by the buyer. And instead of the seller fixing it, they just want to say, well, we'll take the money that we're making and we'll hold that money back in escrow. And then the repairs can be made after the new buyer purchases the property. The problem with that can be twofold. Number one, what if it doesn't get fixed?
Right.
Right? Now, we hold back the money and we're going to have a contractor come out there. But what if that contractor comes out and he does half the job and he decides he's not going to finish it? Or what if we're in a situation where the contractor comes out and he gets through it and he goes, listen, I know I said it was going to cost $15,000 to do this. It's actually going to be 20. Or what if we're in a situation to where the repair gets completed and the buyer turns around and says they did a shitty job?
Yes.
Right?
That's why it wasn't being approved. Because
Right.
title companies were like, I don't want to deal with that.
Well, and here's why that can happen, because the other thing is, well, who chooses? Who gets to fix this?
Right.
Does the seller get to choose it? Or does the buyer get to choose it? Because if the seller's going to pay for it, they typically want to choose who does the repair.
Right.
And if the seller picks it and they do the repair on a house that they no longer own, you think they're going to get the best contractor that money can buy? Absolutely not.
Right.
Right? And so what I think happens is you've got 3 groups, because I'm not even going to throw the lender into this. I'm literally going to go buyer's agent, seller's agent. Well, actually 4, buyer and seller. And all 4 of them, they all kind of want the same thing. The agents want to get paid as quickly as possible. The sellers want to sell as quickly as possible. And the buyers want to get in the home as quickly as possible. But there is a huge risk with this kind of like turd
Yes.
that is in the room.
That's a perfect way to explain
Right?
it.
And so how do we handle that? And at the end of the day, the thing that surprises me is that the only thing that I ever find is really the obstacle is time,
Yes.
right? Because it is very unusual that I find a seller that doesn't have the money to make that repair, right?
Right.
They're like, oh, we don't have the money. Really? You don't have a credit card?
Like you own a home.
You own a home.
You should have the money
Right?
for that.
Not even cash. Forget it. Forget cash.
Right.
Like,
Credit
do
card.
you have
I
a
mean,
credit card?
yes,
Because
yes.
you know these the pay for the repair, and a lot of these contractors don't require the full amount up front. I mean, I don't know many contractors that are like, oh, you need a, we'll just say like, oh, you need a roof done. Well, that's going to be $35,000. Go ahead and write us a check for $35,000. We'll get started on the roof today. That doesn't happen.
Right.
That doesn't happen.
But it becomes that educational piece where the agent's going, I've never dealt with this before.
Mhm.
And they're not choosing to navigate it with their client. They're
Right.
a lot
They
of
don't
the
want to.
times
They don't
looking
want
at
to.
us
Yeah. They don't want to
saying,
look at the turd.
right. They don't want to deal with the turd. That's
Right.
the problem. They don't want to deal with the turd. And
Yep.
that is where we have to get real with ourselves that over the next year, whatever, nobody has a crystal ball, right?
Mhm.
But we got to work and
Yeah.
we got to be the solution to the real estate transactions. I mean,
Well,
we're the
I've got a great
professionals.
solution. So
Spit it.
I this is like the best solution. Real estate agents, take notes. This is the best way to do an escrow holdback, in my opinion. It is the
Ding,
cleanest.
ding.
It is the most guarantee. It is like, it's almost bulletproof. However, hear me out. So, we have a repair on a property that wants to be completed. We just talked about all the pitfalls that can be associated with it. One thing that we didn't talk about is that when you do an escrow holdback, most lenders are going to require that we get a quote for whatever that repair is going to cost, and we are going to hold 1.5 times the cost of that repair in the escrow holdback.
Got it.
And this is where all of a sudden everybody's tune changes. Because like we talked about, where what happens if the repair gets completed and we find out that we need more money as a contractor? Do we just stop the job? Does it not get repaired? Well, almost every mortgage company is going to hold 1.5% time that repair cost. And then all of a sudden, the sellers who were all about saying, oh, well, we'll take the equity, we'll pay for this, they don't want to hold 1.5% because from that point, they feel that a contractor is now encouraged to find things wrong with the property, and it becomes this big, distrustful
right.
situation. So what I typically encourage people to do in an escrow holdback situation, first of all, honestly, make the freaking repair.
Just do it.
Just do it. Like, I know you have the money. I know you have the credit somewhere. There's no way you are selling your house and making money on this property and you don't have a pot to piss in. It's
Yep.
just, it's very unusual. And even if you don't have a penny saved, put it on your credit card, because as soon as the deal closes, you can replenish it. Get the points. Everyone
Yeah,
talks
get
about
the
the fucking points.
points.
Get
Yep.
the points, right?
Yep.
Play your credit card game. So just do that. That's the easiest way. But hypothetically, let's say we literally have a seller that's just like, I'm broke as can be. I have a 500 credit score. I'm going to have to rent when I move out of here
I'm
because,
already bringing money to the table for this sale. We're going
Yeah.
to start seeing that.
right, I'm underwater on the property. I don't have a dime to sell this property. Then what I suggest that happens from there is when we can't do an escrow holdback in that case. If you're underwater, there is no escrow holdback.
Right.
What am I talking about?
Yeah.
So that's not even a thing. So if
Not an
you,
option for
but if you
you.
don't have a credit card, my next thing is like, real estate agents, find contractors that you know that are willing to do the job with an invoice due. right?
Do it before you're actually in the situation where you're trying to navigate that with your client.
Yeah.
Like as a real estate agent, you need to be prepared now more than ever to like navigate those situations.
Yeah.
Because everyone's stressed out. A buyer's probably stressed, a seller's probably stressed. It's not the greatest market to be purchasing in, but like they need you to advocate for them.
Yeah.
And so if I'm selling a house, I need my agent, let's say you're my agent, to tell me like don't deal with an escrow holdback. Get, just put it on your credit card and then when you sell, pay it back or pay it off or whatever. And so I think again, that becomes where things are dirty.
Well, what I have seen that has worked very, very well is I will usually see in a situation where we do the escrow holdback that because we talked about the pitfall of if the seller's going to pay for it, they typically want to utilize their contractor because if they utilize a contractor from the buyer, they're fearful that they're going to eat into that extra money that's on the table.
Mm-hmm.
So what I have seen done, and I have kind of explained this, is like, look, let's have the buyer choose who they want to use as their contractor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Let's agree to use said contractor, but that extra 0.5% needs to be held in escrow from the buyer. So we
Okay.
hold the buyer's money for the overage. So there is no incentive for the buyer to maybe convince the contractor or whatever to say, oh, there's some additional repairs.
Right.
Because if they do, it's chipping into the overage. So the sellers basically have agreed like, hey, we're going to pay, or better yet, let's say the sellers get a contractor. Let's talk about a roof. And they're like, yeah, it's going to be 15 grand for the roof. And the buyer's like, that's insane. You're not doing a roof that I would do. The roof I want to do is 20,000, right? Well, let's do the $20,000 deal. Let's have the sellers put $15,000 in. That's what they're agreeing to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the buyer covers the difference in the hold. And when the repair is done, we'll have the appraiser come back out, sign off on everything, and the buyers get the overage. Let them take the risk. It's their house,
Right.
right? Now, I know sometimes that's easier said than done because that requires a cash situation on the buy side, which is tough.
Yeah.
But then it goes back to, look, if no one has any money, and the only money that's available is the equity from the seller, which I think is probably total bullshit.
Yeah. Right.
I really do. I believe
Right.
it's bullshit. I think
Yep.
you're just full of shit. You just want to pass the buck. You want to get out from underneath this house. You don't want to do the right thing,
Right.
right?
You
the
don't
right,
want to do the work. You want to do it the easiest way possible.
right, which is potentially, and there you are, real estate agents. Escrow holdbacks. What's the number one thing a real estate agent wants to do? Avoid getting sued.
Right.
Oh,
That too,
you said
yes.
closed. Yeah, that's what they think. Like, I want to close. Yeah, well, do you want to close and get sued? Because I'm
But
telling
it's
you.
so true.
Yeah.
Like closing is literally their number one, like sometimes the only thing they're thinking about.
But it doesn't end there.
and it doesn't.
Any good real estate agent knows that your relationship with your client does not end at closing.
Yep.
And that's for the better or worse.
You're right. It doesn't end at closing. And I think that even though it's a slower market, I have agents like, oh, I'm slow, I'm doing the deal myself or whatever. I'm like, no.
Right.
No, we're actually even seeing it where clients that were using our services before chose to do the deal themselves to save a buck. So maybe they're using their like in-house little office person or whatever who
Mhm.
I'm sure gets it to the closing table, but it's not pretty, right?
Right.
They're not trained and skilled as a transaction coordinator. And oh my gosh, that's a lot of what my conversations have been these days, but they're choosing to do the deal themselves. And I have one of my other girls on the other side of the transaction, and they're like, hey, this name looks familiar. We're all like, oh yeah, they're doing the deal themselves. And they're like, it is horrible, but like agents they don't truly always sometimes realize what it means to have like true professionals a part of your transaction. Like,
Well,
it
you said deals are tougher
changes.
now than they've been in years.
And I
So why do you want to
Firmly
jump
believe
on
that.
why do you want to jump on a rockier transaction and be like, "Oh, the transaction coordinating company that like kept me in compliance and did all of these things when things were easy. Well, now that it's tough, I'm going to take this on."
right.
Like it should be the opposite if anything.
And again, I think it's just where their mind is.
That's what's money.
Yeah, it's money, and they're trying to. Yes, it is. It's money.
It's short-term mindset
all
for
it
long-term
is.
losses.
They know in their minds that they're missing out when they're saving that money, but they're like, it's all about money right now. And
Until you get sued,
it's not a problem
until you get a
it's
bad,
a problem.
until you get a bad review.
Yep.
That's my analogy is always everyone's a good gun owner until they're not.
100%.
And when you're not a good gun owner, it's a problem.
I always say this, and sometimes maybe I don't put enough meaning behind it, but I say it's not a problem until it's a problem all the time. And like, I truly do believe that. I mean, it's why I built this business.
Yeah.
Because it was needed, you know, and I saw that when I was working in-house for a real estate team. I was on transactions with people and I'm like, whoa, they need help.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's almost like realtors stay in your lane. Right?
100%.
Like
We all
stay
should.
in your lane. Like you guys are the
Right.
salespeople, negotiate your contracts, do all of the things, and let your transaction coordinators handle the compliance. Make sure that everything is done correctly, because the couple $100 you're going to save could cost you thousands when you're getting sued, or even, you know, the bad reviews of a pissed off client or the burnt relationship
Yep.
between you and another agent.
Yep.
I mean, those things come back to haunt you. I've been in this business long enough to know that.
Same. Yeah. Like, it's just, you know,
You piss off the wrong agent. Next thing you know, you got a buyer that's, you know, making an offer on a listing with an agent that you just pissed off last month, and now you can't get them under contract on their dream house, and they're looking at you like, what happened? And you don't even have the balls to say it, but you're like, she fucking hates me because I tried to do my own TC work.
Yeah. I'm real
botched
passionate
it.
about it. So I like, you know what? And I've had one of those
Preach.
weeks where I'm just like, put me in the ring, you know? But it's so true. You know, yes, I'm a transaction coordinator, and most admins don't get the credit that they deserve in this industry. I will say it's been that way since I first came in. We are overhead
Yeah.
to the industry.
Right.
So we don't, and I say we don't because I firmly believe that we do, just not in like a on paper standpoint, but like if you use our service, people are going to refer their mom and their sister, and it's a natural referral source because people had such a great experience. Why is that not like
Right, no-brainer.
really-
Yeah.
Why is that not a no-brainer? But you know what? We still have a great amount of people using our service because they know the value and they see the value. I had an agent that knows you, but she's a client of mine.
Mm-hmm.
And she had seen me on the first podcast,
Yeah.
and she was like, I will come and sit in that room with you, and I will talk all day about why agents should use a transaction coordinator regardless.
Yeah.
You know?
You talking about Jeanette?
No.
Okay.
I know you know her too, but Mandy Bots.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mandy's been on she's been on twice, I think. Yeah, Mandy's been on twice.
She's awesome. She's
Yeah.
a long-term client, and she gets it. And I love, and I think I have been leaning on more than ever in the last month or so, leaning on people who get it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and really just being confident that there are amazing people in this industry, and you just need to be working with the right ones.
Find a new tribe.
Find a new tribe.
Yeah. So I've got an announcement for you, and this was one of the other things that I was excited about having you on, is because Amy and I connected originally at a Craig Proctor event where we did a real estate agent educational thing. At that time was about how to generate leads.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always in touch with the Proctor team. Love you guys. And we are working on putting together another seminar in the beginning of the year because I figured it'd be
Yes.
better to wait and get agents kind of fired up to get into
Yeah.
2024. But this year, we're doing something way different. So the original presentations were all designed to teach agents how to get leads.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that the Proctor team has identified is that we are seeing a lot of agents switching brokerages.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the main reasons that agents are switching brokerages is because it is becoming more common that brokerages are providing leads.
Okay.
And so one of the things that we have identified is that a lot of these agents feel like some of the leads aren't good, or even that they're having trouble converting them.
Mm-hmm.
And for the brokerages themselves, this is for you. If you manage or own a brokerage, I'm sure this is like hitting home where you're providing these leads and you're focused on the conversion because you're paying for them.
Right.
Right. So what we were going to do in 2024 in the very beginning, and I will get an exact date here, but we are going to bring the Proctor team in, and they are going to do a full-blown 3-hour presentation on how to convert these leads.
Yes, I
So
love that.
It's, we're going from generating the lead, right, which is what we did for years. Agents were like, how do I generate leads? Well,
Yeah.
now we've identified that a lot of them might not know how to generate leads, but even the ones that do, we kind of maybe took a step and looked inward and said, wait a minute, maybe we should teach them how to convert them.
100, because we're back in a place where that is so dang important.
Yeah, we got to sell again.
Education.
Right.
Back to like the core of what I think we're all going through is just education. I think some of these agents can truly benefit from, industry professionals. It's all about that confidence,
Yeah.
and it's going to take that. And so yeah, I love that.
Well, I want to
Please.
bring you in like
Please.
last time. And,
Yes.
we're going to get people together. I'm actually looking for a title company. I'm looking for, an insurance company. And
I have
frankly,
an insurance
okay.
guy.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
I am taking names and numbers, but the one thing that's very important to me at this point that we want to do is we're looking for somebody who has the space to accommodate for about 50 people
50 people
to do this.
Okay.
And one of the ones that I am considering, and it's kind of crazy, but I had a guest on here because I do things that are like entrepreneurial in addition to real estate. So I had a woman named Heidi who was on here who is opening franchises for a eyelash
Love it.
company,
Yes.
right? And the way that their business started was the one owner was running Sylvan Learning Centers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And
yeah.
during COVID, those were like not doing well. I think maybe they were even being shut down. Not shut
Yeah.
down, but they were, kids were working from home and
There's
all that
much
kind of
less
stuff.
of those.
So
yeah.
they have now these eyelash salons that are in a couple different Sylvan Learnings. Well, they used to be Sylvan Learning Centers, and now they're
Wow.
doing these like eyelash things, and they have the space. And I thought maybe what I'll do is I'll connect with them and get them in there because I feel like they're not utilizing the space. They have the space, and then just keeping it real, like real estate agents. There's a lot of them. I seen you.
I seen you.
You got those lashes.
Yeah.
And it might be a cool, way to get like butts in the door for the eyelash company.
Just makes it fun.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's what we should be remembering is that we are all in this business for like relationships. And like what I've always thought about real estate or felt about it is that it's not just a job.
Yeah.
It's like a lifestyle. It's a career. It
Amen.
truly is,
It is.
your identity. And those are the ones that are going to push through it. You
Yeah,
know? And
totally.
we're all going to sit
Well,
back
if you're not,
and go,
if you don't have that mentality, you're not
it's
going
not
to make
going to
it.
work for you.
Right.
Yeah. And I've been really just saying that over and over this week because I see the best in everybody.
Yeah.
And so I'm constantly like, oh, you can do this. Like I'm a leader,
Yeah.
I'm like, you can do hard things, but you have to want to do them.
Well, my line for years, over a decade in this business has always been, you're either in or you're in the way.
Yes.
And I've always looked at that like you onesie twosie agents,
Yes.
like you get in or get out of
Or
the way.
get out. Yeah. Or get out of the way. Yes. And I hate to be like that.
I don't.
Cutthroat about it. See, I know you're more cutthroat than I am because I'm like, wait, but if you think about it, let me
Yeah.
know.
Right.
But I can also put out a blurb, like if there's anybody that I know in my circle that has a space for 50
Yeah,
people
and this will
too,
go out, slide into my DMs.
Yes.
Let me know.
Let's do it.
Oh, it's going down.
Yeah.
I just have to put it together. I've reached out. Well, they've reached out to me actually.
I have
and
a great insurance guy though that you
Okay.
would love. He's awesome and super educational.
Right on.
Oh my gosh, like that's
Well,
what
and
I've
my
always
whole
loved
thing
about
is,
him.
I've said this before. Again, being from Ohio, I had situations in Ohio where I had companies that I loved their services and I loved everything that they did,
Mhm.
and I was referring clients to them. But when it came time to networking and getting people in a room, they were terrible.
Yeah,
So that's my other announcement. Like, if you're like, oh my God, I want to do that, understand that, like, I don't care if you are the best at what you do.
yep.
If you can't fill this room with agents, then
Yeah.
I'm going to have to say next.
Right.
Right.
Because that's what it's about.
Yeah, I mean,
that's what it's about.
Well, we
yeah.
all want the same thing. We want to get agents in there. We want to educate them. We want to get them gassed up about selling. We want to increase their conversion on these
Right.
leads. We want to make those connections. We want to get some eyelashes. In
Yep.
fact, Heidi told me apparently men do this.
Really.
guess
I need
so.
to meet a man with fake lashes.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. It's going on camera. But look at my eyelashes are pretty long.
They are long.
Yeah,
They're light.
right.
And mine are horrible, but I am allergic to the glue.
Oh, well, I would love to know what Heidi has to say about that.
Heidi, DM me because
Yeah.
I got them done for months after months after months when I got married,
Mhm.
and because I had like a Groupon, and I got them done the first time, and I was like, this is amazing because I hate wearing makeup. If
Yeah.
I could just go no makeup, hair up, baseball cap every day, I'm in my
Right.
I am vibing. But so I got these lashes and I'm like, these are amazing. So I got them like consecutively, probably like a year plus.
Mhm.
Every month or whatever, it doesn't last long, like 3 weeks or whatever. And so I would go get my refills,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden I developed an allergy.
Weird.
And so I've tried the sensitive glue. I've tried it at different places to see if it's like
Well, this place is called Honest Lash.
Honest Lash.
And I
Be
know there's-
honest with me.
I know there's one in Domain.
Got it. And,
And
they've
I-
probably come such a long way with them too. That's
Yeah.
a whole other thing that like I just said maybe this isn't for me like years ago, but
Well, it was interesting because the one thing for me as a man, like, I have never once looked at a woman and thought, she's pretty hot. But if she had eyelashes, woo! Like,
But,
that
like-
has never happened.
But for a girl that doesn't wear makeup, I think that like you notice them a lot more. And for me, it was everything because I could just pop up and be like, I'm ready.
That's exactly what Heidi said.
Yes.
It's not so much about like changing what you look like as much as it is about reducing the time it takes for like
yeah.
putting on like 2 layers of mascara.
Well, and then the mascara like freaking
can run and-
it
yeah.
runs or it like smudges, and I'm like, no, that's
Yeah.
why I don't like wearing it because I don't like dealing with it.
You change them like every 2 or 3 weeks, and women get their nails done every 2 or 3 weeks. So yeah, every woman yeah.
So that's something that's a must for me because I bite my nails.
Mm.
So you say that like, well, I never notice like when a woman has like their nails done because she'd be pretty hot if she had her nails done. Like
Right.
you don't really think about those things, but like for me, my nails are bad. if they
Well,
don't
I
have
will
something
say
on
as
them.
a man, nails for me isn't something I am attracted to as far as
Really?
like as far as like physical.
Yeah.
But I do find that when women's nails are done, to me, it is like a sign of like cleanliness.
Yes.
So I'm not like turned on by nails,
Yeah.
but like when women's nails are done, I'm like, that looks nice. You look put together. And I
They
guess
took the
that's, and that
time.
is attractive.
Yes, like they
Right?
took the time to make sure that like
Right.
they're so because for me, I don't really have a lot of time, but like I make time for it because if I didn't, then you would see the actual reality of my
Right.
nails, and it's not good because
Yeah.
I'm like, it's a nervous habit for me, and I've tried to break it. I can't.
I have this is probably a TMI for the audience, but I keep a pair of nail clippers on my desk
Mm-hmm.
because just like you, same thing, nervous habit. And the moment that I even think about biting my nails, I immediately clip them
Yeah,
to where they're unbiteable. And so I clip my nails probably every other day
really.
just so that I don't
See,
bite
I
them.
would do the file. I'd bring that in my
Okay.
purse, and so when I'd go, because at baseball games and stuff when my
Mm.
kids are playing, I'm like,
Yeah.
and so that's my biggest thing was that I would bring it to the baseball field, and I would just,
Yeah, it
But my
works.
nails are just they're not thick, and so they're like they just chip really easy.
You've
and
got
so
to
I'm-
take prenatal vitamins.
no.
That's what I've been told.
No. I am the worst. So any type of I do it to myself, but
Yeah.
you know.
Well, what else you got? I mean, we've been rocking for over an hour.
Man, what else?
What do the people need to know about seamless contracts?
Man, we're still out there and we
Yep.
are experienced more so, I think, than your normal transaction coordinator. And I think that agents are missing out
Mhm.
by not partnering with us now versus when they are busier than they know what to do with.
Right.
So I would say if I could give advice to any agent, it would be partner with who you want in your business in the next 5 years, not what's happening right this moment, because everybody's in that moment where it's like it's stressful, and no one's making the money that I think they would want to make, especially if you're a rock star.
Right.
But I encourage people to do that now.
Yeah, and I want to touch on that because one of the things that you brought up in our last podcast was how you typically will make sure that you're keeping the same transaction coordinator with the same real estate agent. You
Hmm.
try to do that as much as you can. And I think that right now, with deals being tougher than they ever are, as much as it might pain a real estate agent to pay the money to have a transaction coordinator, I think what you just described, which is like, look, create your tribe, create your relationship. If you have an in-house transaction coordinator that you absolutely love and you truly mean that. You're
Right.
not just like, oh, I love them because I don't pay for them. Like you really
Yes.
like
Oh my
them.
God, I love that.
Then like, fine,
Move
great.
this to the front of the
Amy's
podcast,
not a
please.
home wrecker,
Right. I
right?
am in no way a home wrecker. Oh my gosh, no way.
But if you don't have a relationship with your free transaction coordinator that your brokerage offers you, and for God's sakes, please don't do a deal without one. I just think
Right.
that's so foolish.
I
You
I
know,
think
you're
it's just I don't want to maybe it's irresponsible, maybe not. I just think it is not looking at the big picture of why they're a value in the first
well, it's
place.
stepping over dollars to pick up dimes. That's
Yes.
really what it is.
Thank you. Like
You
I think
know,
that's a really good explanation because
we're penny wise and pound foolish, as the English would
yeah.
say.
Well, and like when it does pick up, people are going to be calling me. I'm confident of that. And that person that they were working with that was a freaking rock star that they decided to put on hold while they got busier, she may not she's not going to be available.
Right.
And I don't want to have to tell you that.
Hmm.
Like I handpick each of my transaction coordinators. I personally train them. I mentor them every single week and then some. Like you're in the best hands possible.
Right.
And I think that it's the foundation of your business. A transaction coordinator is a foundation of your business. And it takes a village.
Right.
I'm not just saying that transaction coordinators are the end all be all. The lenders, the title companies, like who you're in business
Well,
with
we always
is the
talk about that
foundation.
because what's the most important thing in any transaction? The clients,
Right.
right? And what creates the best experience for the clients? Well, the layer one is everybody in the transaction knows what the hell they're doing, right? That's step
that's
one.
the basic.
But that's what's interesting is that most people feel like, hey, everybody in the transaction knows what they're doing, therefore this should be a smooth transaction. And I'm here to say that what's ideal is that everyone in the business, or excuse me, everyone in the transaction knows what they're doing, but more importantly, everyone in the transaction knows each other and has a relationship with each other. And then it's like,
That's where the magic
right.
happens.
And I never understand why people, and we can't blame the clients because they don't know any better.
They don't know.
But I'll never understand why real estate agents
They're
or
relying on their agent to know.
well, I think that I'm going to toss real estate agents under the bus here. I know a ton of real estate agents that, their line is like, well, I've got to, go ahead and call a insurance company. Go ahead and call a lender. It's like, what are you doing?
Right.
You're letting your buyer decide who they're going to work with. Like and just crossing your fingers and hoping that whoever they decide to work with knows what the hell they're doing.
Because
And
they're
then
not thinking about the significance in that.
well, and then even if the person that the buyer chooses does know what they're doing, I promise you it is not going to be the same transaction as if, and I know you can't like freaking, what's the word, steer people to use a
you
certain
can lead
person.
a horse to water, but you
Right.
can't make
But
it
at least say,
drink.
hey, here's some of the people that I've worked with in the past that do really, really good work. Because insurance agents are the easiest thing for me to refer.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody knows an insurance agent.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody.
So it would be very simple for me to say, well, you're going to need homeowners insurance, and then for the buyer to go, okay, well, I'll just call who I have my auto with. Like, bad
Right.
idea.
Bad idea.
Because what most people don't know is in my transaction, an insurance agent can jam me up. They can
Mhm.
literally hold us up from sending out a closing disclosure. And if we don't send out a closing disclosure, we have a TRID violation. And if we have a TRID violation, your deal is not closing.
I love that we're talking about that because again, it's things that agents just don't even know that there's a significance behind.
Oh, they know when
They know when it doesn't
they know
close.
when the shit hits.
Yes, like they know when it doesn't close. So man, can we move this to the front of the
Yeah.
podcast? But it's so true, man. Like, there was a deal that I was doing the other day that and I wasn't doing it. I was overseeing it from someone from my team, but the property was in a water district. And it was disclosed on the MLS, like on the MLS page, but a notice was not attached on the MLS. and they did not. Now the contract has it written in that you disclose within the contract that it's in a mud or a water district.
Sure.
Super important for people to know, because if you're not doing very many deals or you've never done one or
Or
whatever.
you don't need to know if you just use seamless transactions or
Yes, oh my
seamless
gosh,
contracts, because they'll
yes.
they'll
But
take care
sometimes
of
I
it.
need an hour to explain to people why
Yeah.
it's so important. But anyways, there was a mud or a water district, and because there was no notice attached on the MLS and they did not disclose it in the contract, a notice was not provided at contract, which is the law now.
Yeah.
And the buyer, they got weeks into the transaction, they were having a roof issue, and buyer all of a sudden decided, I don't want this house anymore. And they went back to that out in the contract, and because it wasn't disclosed at contract or before or within the contract, they terminated and got their earnest money back.
Yep.
So like, thinking of those
And what did the sellers lose?
scenarios-
How many days?
Man, they were 20 days in
Right.
probably.
So
I
they
mean,
got to
it
find
was-
another buyer,
Yep.
get under contract, typically a 30-day close. So they had to make 2 additional mortgage payments.
Can I mention something that I forgot
Yeah.
that agents need to know? I'm getting an increased amount of interest in our listing launch services. And there is a lot of value in that agents, I don't think, always know either, because it's an upfront cost.
Sure.
So they choose, I'll just do the listing launch myself because I'm
Unpack
trying
it.
to
What's it
save
look like?
money, right? So part of our service is to help to gather all the compliance documents that are needed for the listing, including that water district notice or that
Mhm.
mud notice. So that would have saved your booty,
Yeah.
you know? And I think about those scenarios and I just like makes me cringe. But we gather
Do you
all
guys
the
like the seller's disclosure and
Mhm,
everything like
seller's
that?
disclosure
Because that's a big
notice.
gripe for a lot of listing agents.
yes, survey
That the sellers call and they're like, "How do I
T47.
fill this out?" And it's like, "I can't really tell you how to fill it out."
Yes, and so
And you guys are handling that.
yeah, so we'll handle doing all of that for them, and then a lot of the beef is the broker compliance. So we'll gather everything that Compass wants or Cooper Sotheby's or whatever broker you're with, and then we will also do the full MLS input. We'll attach the photos, we'll attach those important documents that need to be attached, and then we will also do like the listing remarks.
Mhm.
And so I think we're just again back into a market where marketing the property, you have to be more strategic now versus before people were just throwing stuff on MLS and it was selling
Right.
for sales price and then some. And so I'm seeing a lot of people, because they're starting to take listings because people are having to move because they can't afford to live there or whatever it might be. They're like, I don't know how to do a listing. And so they're calling us, which is great.
Yeah.
But I love that they're catching us and finding the value because they don't know what to do versus the agent that in their mind thinks they know how to do it
Right.
and that they can handle it and that they don't need to leverage it. And then they come across, it's not a problem till it's a problem.
Yeah.
So we are the industry, we are in front of the industry, meaning that anytime there's a change or like an adjustment to the contract or deadlines or whatever, we know about those things the moment that they happen, not 6 months later, not 8 months later, the moment that they happen.
Right.
So, anyways, that's a big reason why agents have reached out for services too. So we don't just do contract to close.
Well, and again, I mean, they'll say it for the third time, with deals being more difficult. I
Yep.
think that, and that's kind of the irony. It's like, oh, I'm busy, I'm making tons of money, I'll utilize a transaction coordinator when everything's easy and moving quickly. It's like, yeah, that's good, but best practices is utilize them when you really, really need them, when things are tough,
From
when
an
there's
educational piece,
right,
yeah. So I
right.
think it's just that before it was, oh, we were getting business because agents were busy and they needed help. And now it's they're using our service because they want to make sure that they do a good job for their client so that it's a good experience, nobody loses earnest money or gets sued, and that they refer their mom and their aunt and whoever might need to be looking to buy or sell. I mean, it really is a referral source,
Mhm.
and people just aren't,
I get it.
So
I
call
get it.
me. I can talk to you about it all day.
Well, you mentioned some of the brokerages, and one of the things that I've been bringing up, and I want to know how it affects you, and I think you probably want to put out like a little public service announcement. So the whole, what do you call it, merger of Realty Austin and Compass, how does that affect your business, and
Gotta
what's
bring that up.
what's the announcement that you would like to put out? Because I feel like it's an opportunity for you Realty Austin agents to really experience the the white
Yes.
glove service
S-
of what Amy and her team have to offer.
Yeah, I think it's about them knowing that Seamless exists,
Mm-hmm.
first of all,
Mm-hmm.
because if you're used to the requirement of an in house transaction coordinator, you don't necessarily know what's even really out there.
Right.
And so that's definitely a reality.
And Compass does not have that.
No.
Right.
So I meaning Seamless has supported Compass before they ever had an in-house transaction coordination team. They don't require you to use them, but
Mhm.
they it's definitely marketed to the agent.
What are
Sure.
your thoughts on some of the murmurs that I've heard about people who have gone to Compass that claim that there is supposedly technology and AI that can replace a transaction coordinator, that they don't even need a human being?
It's false.
There
It's
you heard it.
false. It is not going to be if it does exist, I have never seen it like
Mhm.
actually, in
Work,
action,
right?
work in action. But I will say that it will not be the same.
Right.
And what you need, truly need a part of your business as the foundation of your business, because it is so much a relationship business. And
Yeah.
I really do feel like agents need a true extension of themselves to truly see the value of what a transaction coordinator can do for their business.
Yeah.
And I do believe that AI is great for tools that we use within our businesses. Like my team uses a glimpse of AI like in some of their processes,
Yeah.
but it does not it's nothing that's client facing. So I think the moment that you think AI in a client facing role would be beneficial, I think it's false.
Yeah. Well, and I would envision that even if there is something that would like help a transaction coordinator that was AI generated, it would still need to be run.
It reminds me of the DJ that comes on in Spotify. Do you use Spotify?
Yes.
Okay. So
I know exactly what
DJ,
you're
what's
talking
his
about.
name? Al?
I know what you're
No.
talking
What
about.
is his name?
Yeah.
He comes on. Love him. His voice sounds real. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, it just like sounds like he's gonna play the jams that like I am truly feeling in this moment. And I like about 4 genres of music.
Right.
And I think we can relate that to a real estate transaction, that there's like multiple different if this, then that. Or if, like
Yep.
it all tells a story. And so when he starts playing me music, some days I'm like, ooh, that felt great. Like that's exactly what I wanted to hear. I didn't even want to think about what music I wanted to put on. He just knew. And then sometimes I'm like, you are a robot. And you can't do all the things because you're a robot.
Yeah, but the only difference between what we're talking about is that when your AI DJ doesn't play what you like, you can just change the song. When the AI
Yes.
robot messes something up in a real estate transaction,
You've lost the relationship with that client.
well,
So
yeah,
be
and
really careful. And
someone
I'm
could
not
get
saying
sued.
right. I'm not saying that AI can't do certain functions in our industry. I think technology does a lot of wonders in our world. Do I think it replaces the people of our industry? No.
No, I agree.
No.
I agree.
Yeah. So, and it's not because I'm like, oh, I want business. I think that that's the full truth.
No, I totally agree.
But
And
a Realty Austin agent that's merging with Compass, I think what I will tell you is that I and my business have been supporting Compass agents since I started.
Yeah.
As soon as Compass became in Austin, when it was much smaller,
yeah,
they were actually we were their number one referral partner for transaction management.
I know.
And so then they formed this in-house support, which I think does the job for many of their agents, but we also have many of their agents because they feel that the seamless way is a better level of service.
It's
And
like it's
so
seamless.
it's just like it's beefed up,
Yeah.
right? Like it's transaction management and then some.
Do it for
right?
your clients.
Do it for your clients because your clients need that more than ever right now. They do. Regardless if you're doing one deal or you're handling 5, your clients are going to thank you and it's going to get you the better review on Google and Zillow because you had our support.
Well, I truly do believe in what you're doing. I mean, that's why
Thank
I've had you
you.
on here twice, and I think it's
Yes.
good. And
And I love it.
not that I have any sort of clout, but I really do believe that real estate agents are doing themselves a disservice by not hiring on I mean, why would you not want to have the best of the best in anything that you're doing?
Right.
And so we already said it, but I'll say it again. Like, if you're not utilizing a transaction coordinator in general. That to me is pretty wacky.
Call
But
someone. If it's about the money, at least have them help you with paperwork or whatever
Right.
the minimum is. But like, if you really want a good foundation for your business to feel almost like a personal assistant, but you're paying per transaction versus an overhead of a salary, and you're
Mhm.
having to train and teach them how to do the process, which we all know is not what an agent wants to do, um, then you need to be really looking at that right now, because don't wait,
Yep.
because the good ones are going to be full.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be back in the boat you're in. You know what I mean? So just think about that.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you
I
coming
love
on,
it.
and
Thank you.
we'll have to do this again, and we'll talk more
Yes.
about the Craig Proctor stuff. Remember, everybody, January, real estate agents, we're going to do some trainings on how to convert these leads that you might be getting from your brokerages, or heck, if you're spending money on leads. I mean, let's beef up
We
your
want to see
your
you,
sales capabilities.
and there's no one that's going to bring more energy. So, I mean, I'm ready. Let's go.
Love it.
Love it.
Thanks, Amy.
Yep.